Keep.
Parrot TV, the voice for humanity.
Hello and good afternoon to all of our viewers today. This is Parrot Foreign Policy Review, and today we're discussing Nigeria-U.S. relations. Today was a very interesting day for the relations between U.S. and Nigeria. We'll have Carlo, Parcelli, and Olawuyi Hamzat discussing the relations. Let's let these guys introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about their perspective on the situation there in Nigeria with the U.S. and foreign policy involvement there. So I'll let Carlo give his presentation first, and then we'll go into Abdulrazaq.
Well, I think we're very, very, very fortunate to have Abdulrazaq here today, because our Secretary of State here in the United States is meeting with President Buhari, I would believe, as we speak, though it's probably 6 p.m. there now. Maybe they've broken for dinner. But I think it's very timely that we were able to have Abdulrazaq on the show. Right now, I would like to just defer and get Abdulrazaq's opinion on the general situation and what he thinks could be accomplished, if anything, with this meeting between Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State of the U.S., and President Buhari. I'd love to hear what he has to say.
Okay, so let's go into that. What do you think, Abdulrazaq?
Oh well, I think United States of America and Nigeria share a long history. Since Nigeria's independence in 1960, we have been working together. Although the relationship is sometimes sweet and bitter at the same time, but my hope is that I want to believe that the ongoing meeting between Nigeria and US is going to strengthen a lot of misperception or suspicion or misunderstanding that always cause friction between both countries. Because, for example, Nigeria is a pro-American nation. We have a significant population of Nigeria who think very highly of the United States, including myself. But over time, some of this pro-American perception that we have is gradually changing. Is gradually being, affected due to certain things that we see from the United States. And I believe that
we had a little
some of those issues are trashed out in a very much diplomatic way, and the positive energy that we used to share will go back to how it used to be, because at this moment we don't really seem to have that positive working relationship like it used to be.
So what do you think led to those lesser, pro-U.S. attitudes among Nigerians?
Well, after our independence in 1960, United States being the global superpower, which we fantasize about, because Nigeria seems to have a lot. Nigeria was a British colony, just like United States, and we got our independence. More in nature, and we see a lot of commonality between the United States happens to be, a pro, or a Nigerian happens to be a pro-United States. Before Nigeria's independence, there was a significant event that happened during the Constitutional Conference, in which Nigeria wanted to decide whether we should adopt or United States kind of constitution. And the USSR kind of constitution is such that will give Nigeria probably the opportunity to break away from the country. While the other part is that we are debating whether we should adopt the United States style of constitution in which immediately we became an independent nation. No region can, break away from the country. And that huge debate among Nigerians, among Nigerian leaders, among Nigerian region was very hot at the time. And it was decided at that time that we should, mimic the United States of America, in which Nigeria should become an indissoluble, undivided country immediately we become independent. And I believe that, play a lot of role in how Nigeria perceive us to be like a mini United States, because we aspire to be like United States of America. So I think that's why we are a pro-American nation.
So how did the adoption of the new constitution affect economic development in Nigeria?
Well, on the issue of economic development in Nigeria, economy is largely about trade and economic relationship, probably more from local engagement. And at that time, we have Nigeria has vibrant local economy. They have a lot of productions. They have agricultural, commodities, exporting a lot, processing a lot, producing a lot. And at the time, it was a vibrant economy in such a way that, we see ourselves being a prosperous nation. But over time, especially with the discovery of oil, most of those local, economy had collapsed because we abandoned the agricultural, commodities, local manufacturing. We all focus on oil, and that shift in direction for our economy has really been, caused a lot of negativity on our economy. So, and as a result of this, there is huge competition in access to resources and allocation of oil resources that we now focus on, rather than allowing all of the regions to be productive on their own. So I do not think that was a positive one for the country, because if there was, more concentration on regional economy based on comparative advantage of local production, that would have made Nigeria much, much more prosperous economically.
Right. Yeah, I think that's true. I've heard that a lot of the, these oil companies that have come in and have caused a lot of conflicts among Nigerians and kind of fragmented the governments, the various governments there in certain ways. That is there any way you could elaborate on that? I think it was in National Geographic I read about that.
Oh, yes. There's a lot of issues on that. Downplay that is because everyone has that we can, blame one point. Every part of the country is part in the decision-making process. And when a decision is taken at a higher level, it affects everyone, though the effects are different. We all have contribution in it, and I do not think it will be proper to claim something that really affects one part over the other. But it's something that, like, for example, now, when there was no concentration on oil, for example, we have the maize production and high level maize production in northern region. We have groundnut in northern region. In the western part of the country, we have the high level of cocoa production and high level of educational, activities, and all of this helps to strengthen each other, because while this region of the country has a high level of productivity without much value addition in the process, this region of the country have human capacity, and as a result assist to process some of the production from this region, and this help each other and strengthen. But since we've paid more attention to oil, everything has been affected, so it has disrupted the local economy in a significant way, and we have to take responsibility for that.
Carlo, do you have any questions concerning the development there that he's discussing, maybe especially related to American-Nigeria relations?
Well, I do, because I've read some of Abdulrazaq's work, and I understand he has a general plan for a micro system of microeconomics for Nigeria. I'd like to hear more about that. Also, the other thing I'd like to hear him comment on is the fact that Nigeria is the 11th or 12th largest oil producing country in the world, yet at this time they're having to import refined oil, and I would like to hear his reasons behind that kind of conundrum, and then I think that'll lead to other things. But I'd really like to hear about his microeconomic program too.
Okay, so if you would like to answer that.
Yes. You know what? We are, because Nigeria has a huge population, and we do not have most of our exports in place now. And the problem with that is that the country earning from oil is being spent on importation of petrol and other products that we need. And that's not proper at all, because the country currency keeps devaluing all the time because we are not in control of the prices of oil. And people say that Nigeria is the giant of Africa economically, but Nigeria's GDP is just about $500 billion. And if you put that to our population, that's a little about $2,000 per capita income in the country.
Yeah.
And even our oil per capita, oil per citizen, shows that Nigerian citizens are earning from oil is so insignificant, but we think so highly of it. At the end of the day, this has disrupted our economy as a whole, because most people now do no longer want to work on the most important things. Almost everything in Nigeria is being imported. We have drugs being used in Nigeria. 7 of them are being imported to the country. We have food in Nigeria, a lot of importation. We have, even in our maritime sector, 90% of the players in our maritime sector are foreigners, and almost every sector of Nigeria is being operated by foreigners. The human capacity, the capacity to operate in those things have been diminished because we have paid too much attention on the oil. So everybody is interested in the oil, and those who are not interested in the oil want to sit back and expect income from oil and handouts from oil before they can do anything serious. All of this has crippled the nation's economy, has made the economy stagnant for a long period of time. So what we are proposing to the country at this moment is not only rhetorics of diversification, but deliberate effort at not only expanding the nation's economy, but also expanding our engagement. We need expanded engagement, especially of the young people who can be productive in the various sectors of the economy that need engagement. We need a lot of capacity building. Even in our academic institution, most of what we are teaching students in academic does not reflect the need of the system, and this is a major problem. So all of this has to be looked into before the country can reposition its economy and ensure that we can create a sustainable economy that can accommodate our population.
Yeah, and as here in the U.S., pollution problems around oil are tremendous, and also obviously you have the question of the transnational corporations who have a stake in the oil, so that the money's flowing out just as the goods are flowing in. So how do you propose to moderate that? I mean, nationalization is one plan, but that will definitely bring the ire of the United States down on you very heavily, and Europe too. But is there some plan to make the revenues from the oil industry flow more toward the public sector in Nigeria and improve it's a problem we have here, and improve the daily life of the people there?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Nigeria recently passed the Petroleum Industry Bill, and the essence of the bill is to ensure that the government have more input in how resources are shared in that sector, because a lot of the players in the sector, especially the multinational companies, are not often transparent. They are not open for transparency in how they move resources out of the country. And in fact, there has been a lot of accusation about the fact that many of the multinational companies are financing pirates who are stealing oil from the country, in addition to lack of transparency from their own end. But with the Petroleum Industry Bill that has just been enacted in Nigeria, a lot of regulation will come into that space, we believe, and we believe that will help a lot in bringing more resources into the public sector in Nigeria. And we also believe that the industry bill, even a lot of people have questioned some of the clauses in it, but we believe this is the first time that there has been a major law governing the petroleum industry in Nigeria. And we believe that the country will learn from this process, improve the system, and have more for the people and for development of our infrastructure.
Do you think that the relationship between the U.S. and some of these talks going on right now, currently as we speak, would they concern any of this, or was there a plan, to move forward on those plans? Or do you know what's being discussed?
I didn't get that question.
What I was asking is, do you know if what the current discussions going on between the U.S. and Nigeria have anything to do with, how to help Nigeria move forward and overcome some of these obstacles with, say, the transnationals or the, some of the infrastructure development? Is the U.S. helping with that, or are they more impeding that? I do not think the United States is really interested in that section in the country, and that's one of the issues why many people have problem with the United States of America. United States is more interested in interfering
if I may use that word. I'm not more like interfering with the process and trying to impose certain policy direction on the country rather than assisting the country in building its own capacity in areas that the country is interested in. And as soon as the US is not getting its way in, bringing the country to follow its direction, then it becomes an impediment in the country's direction. Like, for example, in Nigeria has looked up to the United States a lot in many areas. For example, after our independence, we are all American. Literally, we are pro-American. We want American. We don't have anything to do with the communists or anything like that. But for example, during Nigeria's civil war, when the country felt that, okay, it should be relying on its partner, then the United States was nowhere to be found. They never showed any concern. They didn't really support the country during that trying moment. And that was why after the Civil War, the country decided that they need a different partner that they can rely on for assistance when they need them. And also, when Nigeria, and Nigeria's foreign policy direction is centered around Africa. Africa is like the centerpiece of Nigeria's foreign relation. And that made it a mandation on Nigeria to assist other African nations when they are in trouble or when they need our support. As the biggest African nation or the largest Black nation in the world, Nigeria felt that it has that responsibility. And that's why during the apartheid regime in South Africa, Nigeria literally declared war on any country supporting the apartheid regime, of which the United States of America is one. And as a matter of fact, the United States once declared Nelson Mandela as a terrorist at a time that Nigeria is providing a lot of support to the South African. And that became another point of disagreement between Nigeria and the United States of America. And a major point of disagreement with the United States also came in, I think, during the 1981 to 1993, when Africa as a region is trying to have an African as head of the United Nations. The United States of America continues to veto against African candidates until even a Nigerian was part of the candidate. Our former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, was one of the candidates that was, standing to contest for the UN Secretary Generalship at the time. But at the end of the day, Boutros Ghali of Egypt got the seat. But despite being one of the most performing Secretary General in the history of the United Nations, and every country in the Security Council of UN at the time supported Boutros Ghali to return as Secretary General. The United States of America alone vetoed against his candidature. And all of this negative light because the country and the people were asking, why is it that every time we are aspiring for something, it is always seen as being against the interests of the United States? And the question will then be, when exactly will our interests align with that of the United States of America? And even recently, you saw how the United States was against Okonjo-Iweala, who was aspiring for DG of the World Trade Organization. The United States of America was against her for a long period of time until somehow it has to compromise. The same thing with the African Development Bank. The United States of America literally stood against Akinwumi Adesina, who was the head of the organization running for a second time. And the United States did not only stood against him, they brought a false allegation against him of corruption, for that matter. And they know that as soon as you label someone corrupt or you accuse them of corruption, a lot of people automatically want to withdraw from such people and want to withdraw their support. But every investigation proved him to be innocent, yet the United States has tried to, tarnish his image. And all of these issues, and even more importantly, on security issue, in 2009, for the first time, a Nigerian, Abdul Umar, was on a United States and tried to detonate a bomb on that flight. And we, as a people, were shocked by such kind of action, because at that time, there has never been information about any Nigerian involved in any terrorist-related activity. And this was an outrage in Nigeria, and we were shocked, and we want the government of Nigeria to take a stronger action against any, collaborator or any link to that, Abdul Muttalib. But surprisingly, even though Nigeria was all together with the United States during the 9/11 and provided all the support, we were shocked that the United States literally declared Nigeria as a terrorist nation just because of the conduct of one person. Wow. And this put Nigeria on a bad light globally. And we're like, how can our friend, our partner, whom we provided all the support to during the 9/11, suddenly declare us a terrorist nation because of the conduct of one person? This is a nation of over 200 million people. And so all of these issues has, reduced the estimation of US in our perception, because we seem not to understand the nation or its priority on its decision making. I think these are just some of the issues that have been affecting the relationship of US and Nigeria.
So, Carlo, do you have any comments or questions about that?
I want to thank him for that wonderful elucidation of the situation. I would like to add the ECOWAS. Nigeria formed with its partners in Western Africa, ECOWAS, to settle regional problems among themselves. At the time, initially Liberia, and the United States stepped in and scuttled it. And they've been against that. They've been against this very progressive movement among various states in Western Africa over and over again. I can't agree more. And that brings us to the crux of the situation, where now we have China, who's set up a light rail system in Nigeria, a heavier regular train system from Abuja, I believe. Originating in Abuja, in the capital. They've also built a dam. And the thing the thing I keep reading over again from African journalists and Nigerian journalists is they prefer the Chinese approach because it involves infrastructure and they don't interfere with the internal problems of the country that they're dealing with. Whatever government they have. If it's stable enough to warrant the financing, they'll come in and they'll work on the project. Whereas when I'm reading about this idiot Blinken going over there, the first thing he wants to know about are the 2022 elections in Nigeria. What business is that of Blinken's? That's Nigeria's problem, not Blinken's problem. And so I really appreciate that elucidation that Abdulrazaq just gave us. It was just a great litany of just the U.S. wants to interfere. So you have the two things. You have China, who wants to improve infrastructure, and you have the United States, who's always talking about security. This is a different, and I believe, I don't know if Abdulrazaq follows me here, but I don't believe the problems that Nigeria and all of that part of Mali, Chad, Niger, they're all having with fundamentalists and other bandit groups, in the insecurity. I think the United States is largely responsible for that, and they're playing both ends against the middle, because they're going in and we can provide security, which they're not. I see no evidence that things are getting better. They seem to be getting worse. And the more you have AFRICOM going in there with their forces and setting up their bases, that the security gets worse. I think it's part of a U.S. setup. I think they want to make those countries so insecure. Number one, China won't want to go in and develop. And number two, when countries are unstable, the U.S. has learned to feed off them like an animal, like a wounded animal. That's, and then they go and the jackals go in and they just tear it apart. And that's the U.S. deal. And on the other side of the continent, the Horn of Africa, now you have a situation in Somaliland where the United Arab Emirates are setting up a military base. Oh, bullshit. The United States is setting up another military base in Somaliland. The UAE is not setting up its own military base. They don't even have a military that could, police a rock concert, much less, the Horn of Africa. And so you'll have a military base now in Somaliland and in Djibouti. So the American footprint on the ground of this excuse for security and fighting all of these rebel groups is just being foisted on the continent. It's got to be stopped. It's because it'll wreak havoc all over the continent. It's got to be stopped. I'd like to hear what Abdulrazaq has to say on that.
Yeah, I'm curious too how Nigeria and U.S.-China, conflict is going on in Nigeria and how that's playing out in the field.
Yeah, I really have to commend Carlo for that excellent presentation, because some of us, especially I'm a peace professional, and we have been monitoring the development in Nigeria and Africa as a whole. And what we will expect from the United States is to support us in handling these issues in any way that we feel they can support, not in the way they want to support. And that's the difference. If you want to support us in your own way, then you are only serving your interests. But if you cannot support us in our own way, then why are you our partner? Now, that's the void China is coming to play. And unfortunately, there is a lot of propaganda against China in Africa. A lot of propaganda against, China taking over this, China taking over that. But China is only heading the process that we want. China is not interested in interfering in politics. China is not interested in, taking over. China is only saying we have interests. They can open with their interests, economic interests. We, the African people, have interests. We have economic interests as well, infrastructural interests as well. And we come together and say, this is what we want. And China says, I can provide what you want, but in addition, this is what we need. And having come to a clear understanding about our shared interests, our shared responsibility, we decided to work together. And that is how to partner. You partner with me in my area. And you let me know what you want in return. But the United States will come like give you this, do stuff. So now better than what the United States is offering. And I do not even think the United States is offering anything serious, because what the US is focusing right now is that they are largely funding civil society organizations through the US aid and other organizations. And most of the agenda of these organizations are often counterproductive to that of the nation. We want the United States to fund human capacity development, not undue agitation on issues that many Africans consider offensive. For example, you can see the United States encouraging or promoting issues that are largely within the context of local issues, that when people have this engagement, they will understand over time and take better decisions. But the US wants to impose it like on the issue of gray rights. And when people understood better, they will take better decisions. You don't have to make this as a subject that you have to enforce on other nations. It doesn't work that way. People get offended on small issues like this. But the US is not sensitive about public interest and about public perception. And in addition to that, US has made it a mission to undermine Nigeria at the international level. For example, we saw how the United States of America was literally rallying its European counterparts to sanction Nigeria across different international platforms. Even at the United Nations, where Nigeria was making significant headway in its quest of seeking a permanent membership of the Security Council, the US is working seriously to deny the country that. And these are issues that the African continent as a continent require a voice. The continent needs a voice of its own to protect its interests. If the US happens to be our partner for real, it will support us in the quest to become a permanent member in the Security Council of the United Nations. But that is not happening at this moment. And we can see how the United States brought in Taiwan into the United Nations because it wanted it to protect its interests. And after a long period of time, China eventually overtook, because China had the most powerful and the representative of the Chinese people. And the truth will always prevail. The truth will always prevail. The quest for African nation to become permanent member of the United Nations is a truth that will always prevail. And it will be in the interest of the United States to support this truth so that the people can see them as partner in progress, not to be seen as obstacle to our progress. So these are many issues, that we believe the United States government should look into. We love the United States as a country. Everybody in Nigeria used to love the United States, but now a lot of people are, doubling down on this law because of the many issues that we believe that the US is not interested in our own interest, not interested in the security of our nation, is not interested in the economy of our nation. And that needs to change because we value the United States. We share a lot in common with the US people. We are to be a part.
A few little network blips here and there, so it's hard to catch what everything you're saying. But I just recently read that China has become the wealthiest country in the entire world at this point, and the U.S. used to hold that for a pretty long time. So that's one factor of international dispute there, and I think a lot of that has to do with these kind of problems happening. It's the international stage that's being botched up by U.S. government and oligarchs. Not really considering the merits of a country, rather than looking into the more corporate interests, or the not really looking at what the country itself needs and wants. Instead, going in and just botching everything up, and no avail. It sounds like it's more like a major power struggle for the United States rather than any kind of, willing to discuss, what we can do to mutually benefit one another, which is the point of trade in the first place. So I guess I'll let Carlo, throw in his 2 cents on that statement.
Well, all I have to say is I can support Abdulrazaq's last statement out of the mouth of a U.S. military senior military official of AFRICOM. I'll just read this brief paragraph here. In case there's any doubt, consider the following statements from Vice Admiral Robert Mueller, military deputy to the former commander of AFRICOM, General William Kip Ward, who told an AFRICOM conference in 2008 that AFRICOM's goal was, quote, protecting the free flow of natural resources from Africa to the global markets, exports, end of quote. Furthermore, Mueller wrote in 2010, quote, that let there be no mistake, AFRICOM's job is to protect American lives and promote American interests. Not a word about Nigerian interests.
Right.
Not a word about any interest in Africa of any of the countries they're exploiting at all. Couldn't be clearer. Couldn't support Abdulrazaq's statements any more clearly than that. It's just it's the way of the world. Now, if we could just convince 5% of Americans to believe what we're saying, maybe we'll be on a roll. The Americans are just stupid. But
yeah, I think that it's really
I have to leave it there. I mean,
right. I think it's kind of frightening for the United States and our interest, as a power structure, I guess you could say, that China has grown exponentially in wealth in just the last few years, and a lot of that had to do with the U.S. trade, U.S.-China trade wars going on. See, I think a lot of the time it comes down to what the appearance of competing systems of government. And I don't know. What do you think, Abdulrazaq? Do you think that maybe China doing benefit for Nigeria in the long run? Does that sound like it will be they won't ever come in and say, okay, now pay up, we're taking back what we gave, or they don't? Is there any Nigerian doubt about China at all? We lost him there.
Oh, do you think you lost him?
He's still there, having some
Here we go.
technical issues.
I personally have this kind of concern about China's influence. But when I paid a lot of attention in a lot of study about all of this, that shouldn't be. Because, for example, our long relationship with the United States of America is exactly what has brought Nigeria into becoming the poverty capital of the world. Mm-hmm. We now have over 80 million people living in poverty in Nigeria. And this is as a result of our excessive reliance on the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
China, how China brought over 800 million people out of poverty in 30 years. Nigeria wants to learn from that. And how best can we learn from China? If not, we need to work more closely with them. We need to understand how they did this and what we can share together. While it is understood that a lot of people are concerned about, China, they say China will take over this, but that's not the case. China is only offering you what you need and letting you know this is what we need in return.
Mm-hmm.
All the cards are on the table, and the guarantee that the nation gave is just to ensure that when China gives this, they are sure of getting back what they gave. And if the process is implemented the way it is agreed upon, the nation will most certainly be able to pay back the money, because the fund is being used for productive engagement, infrastructure, economic related activities that would earn the country a lot of income, improve trade, expand the nation infrastructure, expand economic activities. And if the nation has this on long run, of course, it will
generates a lot.
Right. So China's dealing with Nigerians. Okay,
A
go ahead.
win-win situation for everybody. So there is no need to raise unnecessary fear over China's influence. China is doing business, and it is always good to do business in a very transparent manner. And personally speaking, I now understood more, because I used to have a lot of fear about it as well. But now, having been educated better, having learned a lot about this, I studied a lot of these processes, and I can tell you that what China is offering at this moment is the best we can get anywhere in the world. If we have other opportunity, we may want to explore it, of course. But so far, that is the best available. And what else can you do if that's the best? You take it.
Right. Absolutely. There's no conflict of interest. It's completely transparent business dealings with China and Nigeria, and the U.S. is pretty more so than willing to do business or work with mutual interest. It seems like they're more. We rely. It seems like a lot of our international relations are more military oriented than really business related. Like trade relations. What do you think of that? Has more to do with security and trying to promote our interests than really, trying to do a mutual beneficial exchange. I'll let Carlo answer that.
Let me just say, yeah, that's the obvious difference. You look at the U.S. empire, and it was built on blood, imperialism. But you look at the Chinese economic empire, and it's not a military imperialist empire. It's built on, like Abdulrazaq is saying, it's built on economic development and without weapons going in. I mean, it's just a matter of looking at the way they built their economy, and as he says, emulating what they're doing, because obviously they're doing it without any noticeable bloodshed at all. I mean, you can listen to the CIA propaganda about the Uyghurs or Hong Kong or any of that trash if you're an idiot American reading the New York Times or the Washington Post, but then you're an idiot American that's going to find himself isolated from the rest of the world, because China's just going to keep on doing what it's doing, and people are going to around the world are going to respond favorably to the potential that they can reap from that, the economic and lifestyle potential they can reap from that. I mean, it's a losing proposition for the U.S. to continue these bloody wars and this subterfuge to maintain hegemony over the rest of the world. They're going to lose in the end, and we're all going to be better off for it. So that's what I think.
How do you respond to that, Abdulrazaq? He's muted right now. I think we may have lost him briefly.
Lost the signal.
Yeah, I think we've lost him. So I think it's just me and you, Carlo, for the remaining 10 or 15 minutes of the program. Any concerns with the relation, the discussion going on between our Secretary of State and Nigeria, going on right now? I mean,
I'd like to read a couple of paragraphs here out of this article from Counterpunch, and it's because it talks about the security issue, and it says, "Is the U.S. surveillance architecture so brittle and inept that it simply missed the movement of hundreds of members of the very organizations Washington is allegedly fighting in the region?" This is northern Nigeria and southern southern Niger and that region, parts of Mali and Chad. So I'll be brief about this. Is it simply that the U.S. is unable to effectively spy on this area until its massive Agadez base is complete? Is it that these terror groups have grown in sophistication such that they are able to elude the most advanced military and spy capabilities in the world. Well, of course, the guy is being facetious in this article. Of course not. If they wanted to know where Boko Haram was in those regions, they know where they are. They know the arms are flowing out of the Middle East, out of the destabilization of Libya in North Africa and Sudan and out of the Syria and that region of the Middle East, even Lebanon, so that they're ending up they're ending up in the hands of Boko Haram.
Right. So, how do you respond to the idea that, America, United States, is more interested in military security, et cetera, in relation to Nigeria, where it's personal interest and there's no transparency, versus China is helping with infrastructure and some of the actual interests that Nigerians need. So how do you respond to that, Abdulrazaq? Like, that's an accurate portrayal of the situation right now? I think we still have him. Still
don't have him.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
We only have about the United States.
Here we go.
Now, because like, for example, we're all Libya is one of the major all of the ammunitions
believe he's having some technical difficulties there.
many of the countries in Africa. Hello?
Yes.
We can hear you, but you're breaking up.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that most of these weapons are more sophisticated than weapons in the hand of many sub-Saharan African countries, which means that for these countries to be able to successfully tackle the insecurity, they need better weapons, they need better equipment. Unfortunately, there is no resources to get it. And even in Nigeria, you recall that Nigeria made a lot of attempts to get weapons from the United States of America to tackle this Boko Haram years ago, and they refused to sell weapons to Nigeria, killing the citizens. And why did the United States didn't give Nigeria these weapons? They claim that Nigeria has a record of human rights violation. But these human rights violations are not controlled on the country by non-state actors.
I think we lost him again. Kind of unpredictable with the network, the network issues.
This is what human rights violation. And as a result of this, the United States of America didn't provide Nigeria the necessary weapon. And we said these non-state actors are established based on violation of human rights. That is their existence. Non-state actors, terrorist organizations are literally organizations against humanity. That's exactly what they are. Now, in the process of trying to stop them, the state probably got involved in some few violations of citizens while trying to prevent mass human rights violations. And as a result of these exceptional situations, then the United States government said, we are not going to sell weapons to you to dealing with them, few innocent
citizens are affected. And we say, what kind of decision is this? Supporting Nigeria and many of the sub-Saharan nations to be able to deal with this situation before it becomes a huge problem. The United States didn't do that. And you see at this moment, at the rate that things is going, you will find out that many of the African nations are currently being overrun. In Uganda yesterday or 2 days ago, there was a major bomb blast in Uganda. And what is the United States trying to achieve by not providing weapons to states that is trying to prevent mass casualty? And you say that because few citizens are affected in violations, so you choose to stand with the terrorists. That's exactly what it means. Because when you are siding with an organization that is established to exterminate humanity, and because this one that is trying to stop it has committed few infractions in the process, then you choose to withhold weapons they can use, and you say you are not going to support them. And you claim that you are trying to protect human rights. The question is, whose human right are you protecting? The one being killed by Boko Haram in mass, or the few infractions being committed by security agencies in Nigeria? So this is a major issue. The U.S. refused to deal with them at the right time. What you are seeing in this country, when they take over any United States as well, because that is the grand scheme of their own country. And if they succeed in taking over an African nation, United States
I believe there's another network problem here.
Yeah. I would just ask him as a final question, to what extent do other Nigerians agree with his point of view?
See if he has time to respond to that.
Yeah, if he has time to respond.
Yeah. I think we lost him for good this time. Maybe we can write send an email or something to Mutiu, and we can read it next time, get an idea of, his opinions and how much they relate to the general Nigerians. It sounds like from what he was saying that most Nigerians have, even though they do appreciate the United States and the people of the United States, they feel betrayed in a way by a lot of these relations that he talked about and some of these, issues that have been going on, whereas China comes in and helps with the infrastructure and all the things that Nigerians actually, need and want for their country, and they're not able to, provide for themselves at the moment. And basically, they lay the cards on the table, as he said. This is what we're going to do, and this is what we need from you. And there we go. They actually, we do that, and it's transparent. It's like a business relation. Like you should have open, transparency. When you're doing business relations and contracting with people, just on a one-to-one level. You should have, this is what I need, and this is what you're going to get. And, everybody comes to the table and says, this is what we're exchanging. And so it sounds like that's what China's doing with, with Nigeria, whereas the United States is just really impeding all progress there. If I can see that from the general picture being, delivered here. I guess he's back. So if you want to respond to how much do the other Nigerians, agree with what you said so far, Abdulrazaq? Oh, geez, we lost him again.
Well, a lot of people have different perception about the power of failure has just happened now. But I hope you're hearing me clearly.
Yes, we can hear you.
Go ahead.
So a lot of people have different opinion about this. And we will not pretend.
I think we lost him a little bit again. But as he said, he had some doubts about, the China and Nigerian relations himself, which he looked into, and basically he feels more confident that China is doing a much better job and is not, trying to stiff the Nigerian people. Well, I guess we'll have to, see that in the long run. We see that at the beginning, the United States seemed to be pretty competent, really. But at the beginning, they were very inspirational to the Nigerian people and their independence struggles. And then we sort of got to, with the, through his conversation, as I understand it, the American, our government and our special interest did not really respond very well to the general needs of the Nigerian people. And so then a lot of Nigerians have developed a sort of, less positive view of the United States and our relations with them. So I think that's, what we can gather from the general picture. We have him back on if he wants to go ahead and respond to that, what he was saying about the, how much do Nigerians agree with all you've said, or with your general, worldview as you've presented with Nigeria, China, and U.S. relations?
Yeah, what I'm saying is that not everyone will agree with me, I must tell you, because there is low level of information about these issues in the public, and there is a lot of propaganda that is in the mainstream everywhere. So it takes a lot of energy in trying to dig the fact, trying to learn, because most of these things that I knew now, like 2 years ago, that's not my opinion. I also share in the sentiment against China just 2 years ago. But after some while, I started digging, trying to understand some of these issues. And it is the conclusion of my investigation that I came to believe that I think this is far better than what we can get. But this is not yet a mainstream, opinion yet, because a lot of people don't have this information. But what we believe is that over time, gradually, when people have access to more information about these issues, they will come to understand it in this way far better. And the United States is a propaganda country. You guys have all the instrument of information and misinformation as well. And not every country have this. Even in Nigeria, you would think United States like a political party or like an organization, because almost every day you see one press statement or the other from the United States, different, maybe the embassy, the consulate, or certain organization on almost every issue in Nigeria. You see a press statement, and which will be given high publicity, front page newspapers, main subject of discussion on TV, and this is how it happened. So literally, the statements of the United States is being pushed to the mainstream and to compete largely with what is happening in the country. So that tells you largely that the US is really very interested in this propaganda, and some of them are done directly, some are being done indirectly. And all of this are important because the US is a very important country. Their voice cannot be washed away. You can't say, oh, we're speaking. This is a powerful nation, and everybody wants to hear what they're saying. But when you have better information, when you are equipped.
And I couldn't agree with that more, that the better the information is distributed on all subjects, open information, the better we have. And that's supposed to be the ideal of our founding. But it sounds like, a lot of times that just doesn't play out the way it, we expect. And, our government is just as vicious as anything else. But with that in conclusion, unless Carlo has a couple, quick remarks on what we've learned today and what we've understood, we've fulfilled our hours worth of discussion about U.S. Nigerian relations. at this appropriate time. So, Carlo, do you want to add any couple of little comments at the end of the program?
Just one, a couple of brief things. I thought that our guest was that the feed wasn't better. I thought he was very informative, and I really appreciate his efforts. And secondly, as a matter of encouragement, I know my sources and what I read, but I find that African journalists in particular are very, very cynical about the U.S.'s intentions in Africa, and in particular in Nigeria. And it was just heightened when I did the research for this program. And I really appreciate Abdulrazaq Hamzat coming on and giving us his insights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been an excellent programming. I had Carlo Parcelli and Abdulrazaq Hamzat. He's a human rights advocate in Nigeria. Well-informed, excellent discussion on some of the problematics of U.S. involvement in Nigeria specifically, and how China has helped develop the country, whereas U.S. is pretty much botching everything up and not doing its fair share of transparency and promoting propaganda within the region to turn the people towards the U.S. instead of letting them think for themselves with open information about the subjects at hand. So, it just sounds like, this is a program has been very informative to some of the deadly aspects of, U.S. foreign policy that we face in this critical time of our history, as we seem to be facing a lot of declining in the empire, as you could say, and we could see. So I'm Dustin Pickering. You've been watching the Foreign Policy Review. Check us out Thursday next time. 11 o'clock Central Time, 12 o'clock Eastern. And I hope you guys out there go out and do some reading and some research of your own on these subjects. And we'd love to hear from you sometime during the program. Next time we'll be prepared with some extra, interesting tidbits of information you may not be hearing from the mainstream sources. So thank you for joining us on the program, and I hope you all have an excellent day out there. So thanks again. Subscribe.